Okay, so shout out to Nelk, but they kind of gave me this idea. I have two segments I want to do with you.
Okay.
The first one is use one word that comes to mind to describe that person. Okay? It's a fun game.
Fun.
Let's start. All right, who is the first picture? And we got the Nelk Boys. One word.
Great.
I love that. Okay,
Really
great.
good.
Okay.
So you're friends with them?
Yeah.
Are they competitors of yours, though?
Not even, honestly. Every time that I speak to Kyle or Steve, it's just only
they're
love.
all great.
They're really, really
No,
good.
they're just great.
Yeah.
But in a way, you would be competitors, but you don't.
They're more bigger on the YouTube side of things. I'm more
Right.
live, so it's a lot. It's a
see.
different
I see.
world.
So it's different,
But
yeah.
it's kind of like parallel.
Look at them. I mean, they're just great people. That was Dana White. He said, you got to do them. I said, who are they? I didn't know. And after I did them, it was like an explosion.
All right, let's see what we got next here. We got me.
Yeah. Well, I can just tell you that one word would be outstanding. My sons told me about you, and they told me about how big Dad. My Baron.
Yeah.
He said, Dad, he's really big. I said, yeah, but what about else? He said, he's also a friend of mine, right?
Yeah.
But big stuff, Aiden. So I just have to say outstanding to do what you've done at a young age. And I know how old you are. You're young. You're seriously young. My suit is older than you are.
How old's your suit?
I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, let's see who we got next. We got you.
Patriot. I'm a patriot.
Okay. Joe Rogan.
Interesting. He really is. He's an amazing guy. He's a very interesting guy.
So we got next, Mr. White.
Oh, well, he's a fighter. I'll tell you, that guy, he fights. You wouldn't want to have him against you. A little bit true with all of these people that you're showing. There's a good one. Elon, a genius, truly a genius. I see the rockets come down with the engines, and they're coming down, and the engines are landing without any. They have no wings, no nothing. That was a couple of years ago. I said,
Right.
what is that? And I said, what was that all about? He says, well, we want to be able to save the engines, not that they go into the ocean and all. But he really is. He's a genius. He's also a very good person, Elon.
Let's see what we got next here. We got Kanye.
So he's very complicated. Let's say complicated. Because he's a really nice guy, but he can get himself into trouble, and he can get some other people. But he's got a good heart. He does. But he's complicated. Kanye. Fake, but in all fairness, look. But she knows it. She's got a thing going. It's a good thing. She's a good thing for her. But there's a certain something she's got. She's got a spark. That's pretty amazing, actually. She's got a good spark. So I'll change it. I'll say spark. She does have. She gets on. When she was running against a gentleman from Queens, and I asked his people, I said, are you careful? This guy was going to be Speaker of the House. It was going to be him, not Nancy Pelosi. And Joe, he is a good politician, a real pro, been around for a long time, many years in Congress. And I watched her on television one time. I saw a clip of her speaking, or ranting, raving, going crazy. And I said, who's she running against? She's running against Joe. I said, oh, does he know what's going on? Oh, he's got no problem, sir. He's got no problem. I said, is he doing any debates? No, he doesn't have to bother with the debates. He's been there for years. I said, tell him I said that he should be careful. Because I saw her. And I said, she's Evita. I called her Evita. Maybe that's the best. Evita Peron, right? I said, she's Evita. She's in the streets screaming, shouting, going crazy, hugging people, hugging. Everybody's being hugged. I said, he better be careful. And she took him out. So, I give her credit. But she's got a lot of sizzle. Well, there's a powerful man. He's a powerful man. I know him very well. I know him probably better than anybody in this country knows him, and got to know him extremely well. We had a great relationship until COVID. COVID was a step too far, but we did very well with China. And President Xi, we did very, very well with China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars. No president took in 10 cents. I took in. And I exposed China. Look, I want China to do great. Okay, but they can't take advantage of us like they were doing. For years and years, we'd lose $500 billion a year in trade, all of that. But then COVID came in, and it really, I changed, but I will have a very good relationship with him. There's no going to war with him. He doesn't want to go to war. We're not going to go to war. And we had a very good relationship, actually. He was right in this room. He came to this country, and he stayed here for a number of days, as you remember. And we had incredible meetings, a very famous meeting in the dining room, actually. But he loves his country, and he's very strong and very powerful and very interesting. But he really does love his country, I can tell you that.
Let's see who we got next on this list.
Yeah. Gavin Newsom. You spelled it? No, you spelled his last name.
He literally ruined California. Beautiful state. California is beautiful. He ruined it.
And when you watch him, he's always saying, "Oh, we're doing so great."
Right,
We're not
right.
doing great. I mean, I have holdings in California, and I own a golf course right on the ocean, right on the Pacific Ocean in Palos Verdes. So beautiful. It's a club. It's big, many acres, hundreds of acres, and it's fantastic. But California is so precious. One of the most beautiful places in the world in terms of weather,
For sure.
in terms of everything. And they're just destroying it with crime. The crime is out of control. It's a very dangerous place. And he, I think it's a shame because I like him. I got along with him great. I helped him a lot with his fires. I kept saying, why don't you do something about the forest fires?
Yeah.
There's no reason to have that. There's no management. They have no management control over the forests. I said, you have to do things. But I got along with him great, but he has not done the job.
No.
He has not done the job. Sad.
Got a few more. Let's see what we got next.
Yeah. He's turned very liberal, actually. They say he's the son of Fidel Castro, and could be. I mean, anything's possible in this world, You're going to learn as you get older. You've seen a lot already for your age. Per age, I would say. Per year spent, you've seen as much as anybody. But Justin Trudeau is... I got along with him very well, actually, but he seems to be going very progressive, and the people of Canada are not liking it. I mean, if they had a good conservative person, which maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know, but somebody that's a strong conservative would win in Canada. Canada is very unhappy about the way they've been treated as people. But I got along with him well. Now, this man I really got along with well. We had... Little Rocket Man, we had the red button. He said, I have a red button on my desk, and I said, no, I have a red button too, and mine's bigger than yours and mine worked. And it was a really bad month and a half. He was very, very tough on President Obama, very tough on everybody. It's the hermit nation, and it really is. I mean, I said to him, do you know Elton John? No. I said, did you ever hear the song Rocket Man? And I actually played him the song Rocket Man. He said, no, I've never heard it. I said, you're Rocket Man. He said, no, you call me Little Rocket Man, not Rocket Man. But I tell you what, so we had a very nasty 2 months. People were actually worried about it because it could have been dangerous. But President Obama told me that this was the single biggest threat to the United States, was Kim Jong Un of North Korea. And one day, I got a call from people that wanted to see me about him, and he wanted to meet. He did not want to meet with Obama, did not want to meet with anybody. Got tremendous nuclear capability. He does. And we've checked that closely, and he does. I got to know him very well, and I got along with him great. He's very smart. He's very strong. He's the absolute leader. A lot of people say, oh, maybe he's not the leader. He's the absolute. When he's around, his people are standing up at attention. I've never seen. We were at a luncheon. They had 20 people on his side and 20 people on mine, looking at each other.
Right.
In Singapore, we had a meeting in Singapore. It was the biggest press conference I've ever had. There were thousands of paparazzi. I've never seen anything like it. I think people said they've never seen anything like it. I was walking in, he was walking in. We met in the middle, remember? And
Yeah, of
the
course.
place just went crazy. But we got along very well. He's very, very smart. And, you know, he's a real power. He's a real power. I think he's upset that I'm not there. Nothing would have happened with him. We would have gotten along with him fine. I was trying to get him to do, you know, his country is, you talk about location. I'm a real estate guy. He's right between, think of this, Russia, China, one side, and South Korea on the other. I said, you have a great piece of real estate. You could make so much. You could have gorgeous things. I said to him, think about gorgeous condos going up on your shore. He's got a lot of ocean. He's got ocean frontage on both sides, right? But I got along with him great, and we would have had no problem with him. Now he's getting very angry with us, and he's getting very angry with, I understand he doesn't like her. He doesn't know her, but he forms opinions, and he doesn't like her. And he thought that Biden was a stupid man, a very stupid man. He would say that, but I say the same thing, so at least we agree on something. But Biden they really have hurt our country. These people have hurt our country. Kim Jong Un was great for as long as he was there, as long as I was there was going to be no problem. That I can tell you. We met in Singapore. I got to know him so well. And, you know, I always say that we have enemies from within and we have enemies on the outside. So he would be considered, I guess, an enemy. I think he would be absolutely fine. China, the same thing. I always say if you have a smart president, you don't have a problem with the outside. But you still will have a problem with the inside because these people are sick. They're sick. And the people from the inside, I mean, they're willing to take down our country. It's incredible. When I look at guys like Adam Shifty Schiff, he's such a bad guy, such a liar with the Russia hoax. It was a total hoax. It went on for 2.5 years, and total exoneration, nothing to do with Russia. The opposite. I was the worst thing that ever happened to Russia because I stopped the pipeline, the Russia pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. But, you know, it was just 2 years of this stuff. And actually putting our country in danger because you put your country in danger with another country.
So I know Fannie Willis has treated you very unfair. I have a friend who's currently being treated unfair by her. He's a rapper named Young Thug.
Yeah.
And I was just...
I heard that, actually.
Yeah, I just was wondering if there's a way that we can make sure he gets treated fair, that's all.
So I've heard about him, and I heard he's being treated very unfairly by her.
Yeah.
And I would tell her she's got to treat these patriots that are being all terrible. They're going after him. And I hear Young Thug is being treated. I heard the name.
Yeah.
I heard it from other people where they say he's being treated very unfairly.
Very unfair. So
he's got to be treated fairly.
Please. Thank you, Tom. So let's see who we got next on the couple. We got a couple more people left.
Okay.
Got some, hopefully some good ones. Well.
So he was very good with me because when they were doing the Russia hoax, they said I did something with him on a phone call, and basically I congratulated him on his winning the presidency.
Right.
And said some other things which turned out to be perfect, better than perfect. If he sees any corruption, please report it to the Attorney General of the United States, which we have an agreement with the country. We have actually a signed contract with them, a very important one, that because Ukraine has always been known as very corrupt. I don't know if you know that. It has been a very corrupt country. I think the people are great, but it's been very corrupt. And I said, if you find any corruption in the country, you should report it immediately to the Attorney General. I did say that. And it was a very good thing to say. It turned out I was 100% right in saying it. So they made up a phone call, but fortunately, the phone was essentially taped. The call was essentially taped. I didn't know this, but a lot of times when you're talking foreign leaders, they have tapes, or they have stenographers. And we had 2 professional, really great military stenographers. So every word. So when they said I did these things, I said, no, I didn't. And then I said, was that taped, or did they have the stenographers? The answer was yes. And they got all the way down the line to impeach me. They wanted to impeach me over this phone call, a single phone call. And I knew that I had them because I had the tape or the stenographers, everything, perfect. Every word was said. And then they did the impeachment, And just before that, because I remember Nancy Pelosi was crazy, we can't impeach him. Look at what the phone call was. She saw the phone call.
Yeah.
And then they decided, well, let's do it anyway. Can you believe how bad these people are?
Horrible.
Let's do it anyway, because they had the phone call.
Yeah.
That's where Tim Scott, a great guy from a senator from South Carolina, he said, wait a minute, I've just read the phone call. That phone call was, he was the first one to speak up. Tim Scott of South Carolina. Then Republican senators spoke up, and they were great. I mean, there was great. Of course, the only one was Mitt Romney. Real stiff, and he couldn't get elected dog catcher right now. But and he actually voted. He actually only took a half a vote away, but everybody else voted for me, 100% unanimous with the Republicans, and it was fine. But what they did was they made up a call, and then when they found out that I had it essentially on tape, they looked really bad, and they had a decision to make. Do they pull it? And she said, no, we shouldn't be doing this, but let's go ahead with it anyway. I did nothing wrong. So you have to be careful. So let me just say about him. So when they called him and they asked him, did President Trump say anything that was inappropriate or wrong? He said, absolutely not. It was a very nice phone call. There was nothing unusual about it at all. And he could have grandstanded. He could have said, well, And he didn't say that. So I respect him. I think that I will be able to make a deal with him and Vladimir Putin very quickly.
That's great.
Even though it would have been a lot easier before this war started, and you wouldn't have 500,000 people, or maybe much more than that. I think you're going to find that the number of people dead is far greater than what they're saying. That's a really nasty thing going on over there. But I think I will be able to get him and Putin together, and we'll get it ended. It would have never started if I were president. We had no chance of starting. I knew Putin very well, know him very well, and it was the apple of his eye. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. He did love it. He did want it, but he knew he couldn't do it. He wouldn't. He would not. He knew he could not do it. He would have never done it if I was president. And now when you look at all of the death and all of the destruction, even of their culture, because those cities are wiped to the ground. Most of the cities.
Horrible.
Outside of Kiev, most of those cities are wiped down to the ground. And it's so sad. And when those buildings come down, there are plenty of people in them. People think those buildings don't have people. They have a lot of people in those buildings that don't want to leave. And those buildings come down. They're big buildings, big, heavy buildings. And they come down. And the people are crushed. Instantly, they're crushed.
Horrible.
Missiles hit them.
Gotcha. I wanted to touch base real quick on the inflation thing. So, I know I saw you when you went to go speak in Nashville. Yeah. You talked about crypto. You said that crypto can help with that. You mentioned that it's somewhat like gold. Do you think that, when you get back in office, you would still fully support crypto? And, I just saw that the U.S. government, ever since you spoke about it, they're selling crypto. They're selling it. So what would you do if you were in office with crypto?
It's something they shouldn't be doing, because they should be trying to build it. So if we don't do it, China's doing it, other places are doing it, and they're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's a very modern currency. It's a very modern form. And I know a lot of very good people that are really into that world and into that market. They're smart, they're good people, and they think it's going to be very beneficial. And remember this, though, it's very important. It's like AI. Do you love it? Do you not like it? If we don't do it, China's going to do it, or other people are going to do it.
Yeah.
And we can't be left behind. And crypto is right in that sphere. And it is a form of currency. And again, China's already doing it. But if we don't do it, they're going to do it. AI is something that's really at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And there are pros and cons to everything. But China is trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And we've got to beat them to the punch.
I would love to see you and Elon, get together and talk about AI together. I think it's really, really important because, Elon with what he's doing, and then obviously you guys can really come together and maybe try to find some solutions for AI, because it is getting out of hand. You see a bunch of fake stuff. It's really getting crazy.
It's, one thing about AI that's interesting is, and who would believe this, to really be at the top of it and to dominate, because China's very much into the artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Even the name is sort of a weird name, because artificial intelligence sounds like, it's not really a very good name when you think about it. It's artificial.
Yeah.
It says like fake intelligence, right? But regardless, so you need massive amounts of electricity to be able to compete. Did you know that? Electricity.
Yeah.
And if you don't build twice the amount of electricity that the country currently has. Now think of that number. You need more electricity than the country has for everything times 2. Now think. So nobody's going to be able to get that done but me. I'm the only one because you're going to have to build power plants at every plant. You're going to have a power plant for every plant. It's all electricity based. It's amazing. You need massive amounts of electricity. In the meantime, they built 8 chargers in the Middle West for cars because we shouldn't have, obviously, all electric. You know, they have this electric car mandate, and they don't go far. They cost a lot. They're going to be made in China. And under Biden, he wants everybody to drive an electric car. No more gas-propelled cars, no more hybrids, no more anything. Think of it, how crazy. And you can drive a car from here to Los Angeles on a tank of gas. Same thing with trucks. They want trucks to go electric. They'd have to make 6 stops to get to Los Angeles. With diesel, they don't have to make any stops, and they have left over. And the truck gets lighter as you go. You know, one of the problems with that is the weight. The weight of the batteries is so heavy. It's 2.5 times heavier than a truck without, you know, with diesel. And you would have to rebuild all of your bridges all throughout the country. And I asked, the trucking industry supports me because of this. I mean, they probably like me, but they support me because of this, because they're not going to have an industry. I said, when you explain that you're going to have to rebuild all of your bridges in the country, when you explain that to the government officials that come and harass you, don't they say, oh, I see, well, then it doesn't work. Just that one thing, it doesn't work. When you explain to them that you have to stop 6 times for 4 hours a stop, and you talk about a supply chain problem, right? But I said, when you explain that to people, just tell me, do they say, oh, then we can't really do it? Because, you know, it makes sense. We can't do it.
Of course, yeah.
It's all right. You could have a child go into a meeting, and within 1 minute or 2 minutes, they would convince you that it doesn't work. Maybe sometime, but I think it's essentially never going to work. In my opinion, it'll never work because you're always going to have a weight problem. You're always going to have, it's never going to be the same kind of a thing where you can drive for 2 days without stopping. It's just not going to happen that way. And I said, what do they say when you go in and explain this? They don't care. They say, we don't care. We want you to go electric. And one gentleman, the biggest guy in the business, he said to me, all my life I've been buying trucks. For 50 years I've been buying trucks. And every year they got better, bigger, stronger, more beautiful. Every year for 50 years they became more efficient, more fuel efficient, better pollution control, everything. And if they make us do that, we'll go back 50 years, more than that. He said a truck 50 years ago would have been better than what they're making us use right now. And I say, when you explain that, do they do anything? They sit there, they look, and they say, we don't care. That's our mandate. You have to go all electric. These people are going to destroy our country. We can't let them do it.
Horrible, horrible. Mr. President, I know you're very busy. It's already 2:15. How much time would you say we have? Because I do want to give you this last gift.
Well, let's go do the last gift.
Let's go do it. Let's go do it.
So far, I like the gift you gave me.
Yeah, well, you're going to like this other one, too.